Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also interested, very interested in my colleague, Mr. Brown, and the Garden Reserve and the role that they can play, and be very interested in seeing that report. I've had the same conversations with General Cademy, the head of the Army Guard. I mean, it seems that the challenges with recruiting, the challenges with keeping up with the civilian sector and the pace of technology, and who bridges those two worlds. One of the questions I've asked him is, when you're recruiting your cyber force into the Garden Reserve, are you taking the civilian occupation into account? Are we recruiting people who are truck drivers during the day and then into the cyber force, or people who are actually in the IT sector, in Silicon Valley, in that space, so that you can leverage those two and build upon those two? It's not clear to me. I'd be interested if the report addresses that, if that's taken into account in the recruiting on the front end, particularly for the guards, so that you can build those going forward. Do you have any any additional comments on where that's going? So, I mean, to be candid, talking to the Guard about counting tanks, counting aircraft, parity in fielding, that's important. They need to be interoperable with the force, but where they can uniquely, take this leading role in leveraging those civilian sector skills, I think is something we should take a hard look at. But
yes, while I cannot speak to the details of how the National Guard right now is conducting their recruiting, I'm familiar enough with their process to know that they do look at what are those specialty areas that the individual is being recruited for, and what skills do they bring in addition to the basic elements of education. Okay. So that is something, and then again, it will be based on how the specialties develop and evolve and potentially expand.
Thank you. I'm eager to see the report. General Nakasone, can you just talk to me about plans or what's in place or what's coming down the pipe to kind of share and collaborate cyber threats ostensibly at network speed, ostensibly at cloud scale, with the top U.S. companies, with industry, to leverage, so we can leverage the full resources of the U.S. government and respond to our critical infrastructure? We thought about, or is there, and forgive my ignorance, if there's a cybersecurity cooperative agreement with industry, detect, respond, mitigate cyber threats? I know DHS has there, but I keep hearing consistently, frankly, that it's not being utilized to its full extent, and frankly not useful to industry. Didn't know the relationship with your command and industry.
Congressman, we've been working closely within the department on an initiative called the Pathfinder Program. The Pathfinder Program, and this is an outgrowth from the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security's memorandum of agreement, to work together to look at joint ways that we can address the critical infrastructure sectors. As you're aware, 17 different critical infrastructure sectors. We've started with the first one to look at, and working very, very closely with the financial industry, working closely with the Department of Treasury and the Department of Homeland Security. How do we share data? How do we share it rapidly? One of the things that we've done over the past several months is had 4 different means of sharing data. But it's more than just sharing data, because we're not going to get out of this issue with just sharing. It's also our technical experts talking to their technical experts, talking to the Department of Homeland Security. This shows great promise. And as we move on from the financial industry, I think that energy and other industries right behind it will be the beneficiaries of this.
How are along those lines, how are the delays in moving and DoD moving into the cloud architecture, how's that affecting your warfighting mission?
So it hasn't affected my warfighting mission. I would offer that our ability to share right now is at a level that certainly is able for me to accomplish what I need to be able to do. I think, to your point, though, how do we increase our lethality in the future as a force? I think this is one of the areas that we're working towards. As the department moves to its investment in the cloud experience, this is one of the things we're working very, very closely with the department, NSA, and Cyber Command to ensure that we're well postured for it.
Thank you. Then final question, just in the interest of time, and maybe we'll take this to the closed session, but I'd be very interested. Data is the new gold, new oil, whatever we want to call it, the coin of the realm, and back to your issue of collaborating, particularly with sensitive data, with an eye towards AI and 5G, because we can't get to one with the other. But I'll yield my time and look forward to closed session. Thank you.